1-800-650-6820. That's 1-800-650-6820. Folks, the vitamin D revolution has begun. And with the expertise of Dr. Cannell, as you've been hearing, Purity has once again taken the lead with this advanced formulation. So don't miss out on this free bottle. And again, you'll also get the free bottle of fish oil today. Call right now, 1-800-650-6820. Again, 1-800-650-6820. All you pay for is shipping, $4.95. The product is not available in stores, only directly through Purity Products. Limit one per household, please. And Dr. Cannell can't say it enough. Getting your blood levels of vitamin D up is not a luxury. It's an absolute necessity. And this is the product you need to do it with. So don't miss this chance. Call now. 1-800-650-6820. That's 1-800-650-6820. Your free bottle is waiting. All you pay for is shipping. One more time, 1-800-650-6820. Thank you so much for listening to Healthline.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement by Purity Products. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases.
The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the preceding program are those of the show participants only. Nothing stated in this program reflects the ideas, opinions, or beliefs of this radio station and or Clear Channel Radio.
Don't stop. From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, I'm Ira Dreyfus with HHS HealthBeat. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned play? As we grow up, being physically active often changes somehow from playing to exercising. Play is fun. Exercise, well, for many of us, that's not fun. And without play, we quit being active, so we get out of shape and start gaining weight. But new reports call on us to be physically active for the sake of our health, so what can we do? At the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, Executive Director Melissa Johnson says it's simple. Get on your walking shoes and go for a walk, or do something else you enjoy.
A lot of sedentary or deconditioned people haven't yet experienced the good feeling of just movement. And once that becomes familiar to them, they don't want to stop.
Federal officials recommend 30 minutes of moderate activity on most, if not all, days of the week as a minimum for good health. HHS HealthBeat is a production of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I'm Ira Dreyfus.
This is Detroit's Progressive Talk, 1310 WDTW, Dearborn, Detroit. Listen 24 hours a day on iHeartRadio. The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the show participants only. Nothing stated in this program reflects the ideas, opinions, or beliefs of this radio station and or Clear Channel Radio.
Medical marijuana certification. And now you can find out everything you need to know online at getpotid.com. Or write down this toll-free number, 855-DOC-CERT. A friendly specialist will direct you to our Farmington Hills office. Medical marijuana certification. GetPotID.com. It's the key to getting your card. Information, resources, and in the end, if you're qualified, a medical card. Call toll-free right now, 855-DOC-CERT. That's 855-DOC-CERT. It's GetPotID.com. The law offices of Targowski & Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski & Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski & Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski & Grow, 800-957-1069. Hey, Steve Greene here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right. $200 gets you a 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium bulb, an E-wing reflector, and a digital ballast. That's right, a digital one. Call them today at 313-228-5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's original cannabis formula nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's original cannabis formula nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's original cannabis formula nutrients. Hey, Steve Greene here for the Medical Marijuana Certifications at AMMP. They're the American Medical Marijuana Professionals. You'll find them just north of Utica Road on Gratiot in Roseville. Their address is 28349. Now, call-ins are welcome, but you're better off calling for an appointment. They have a toll-free number, 877-RX-420-99. That's 877-RX-420-99 for American Medical Marijuana Professionals. That's AMMP on Gratiot in Roseville. Stay tuned for the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, brought to you by the American Medical Marijuana Professionals on Gratiot in Roseville. For certifications, call 1-877-RX-420-99.
Countdown to launch. The Medical Marijuana
Launch commit.
Radio Show.
Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Power cleared.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show is a production of the Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
You tuned in to that Medical Marijuana Show. 855-MMM Radio.
Keep it legal. Keep it legal. Keep it legal. Keep it legal.
Hey! You tuned in to that Medical Marijuana Show.
Well, it's a crazy, crazy day in Detroit. We are live in Detroit. It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show for Saturday, June 2nd, 2012.
Okay, Steve is the host with the co-host Denise. Starting at noon Saturdays every week. Yes, we keeping you legal. Legislators and lawyers, doctors and the growers. The show is for the people. Michigan Medical Marijuana, no hassle. We talk about anything, any issue we can handle. Call us up and let us know what is on your mind. And make sure when you do it legal every time. Hey! Tune in to that Medical Marijuana Show. 855-MMM Radio.
Keep it legal. Keep it legal. Keep it legal. Keep it legal.
So here's what's been going on. Here's exactly what's been going on this week. Incidentally, just, I gotta have this off at the beginning of the show. Radio Weed Show down right now for the moment. I think they're in the last throes of moving that to Amazon, so in the event that you're listening through another method, via 1310, the internet is down at the moment. You can still get us on Ustream. I'm hoping Bob will get the thing up here in the next couple of minutes. He's working diligently at it now. Bob's our web developer. Bob's been working really hard this week. I put him to task on fixing my car. Incidentally, speaking of that, I'm patient caregiver Steve Greene. To my side today is Ryan. He's our intern. Ryan, tell him your last name. Do you want to give him a last name for it? Anyone?
No? That would be Bringold, Ryan Bringold.
Bringold?
Yes.
It's like Pringles with a B.
Yeah.
It's a little like that. Okay. So Ryan's to my side because Denise isn't here. Rick's not here. Rick's he's got something going on up north. We'll hopefully get to him on the phone in a little while because they both got a mouthful. Oh, they're both just tearing at this. Denise had some problems with her vehicle or something. She's going to be phoning in here shortly. Oh, she's Spitfire mad she's not here. So we're winging this, Ryan and I in studio. Hopefully in just a bit we'll get maybe Tim Beck. Maybe we can get Tim Beck on the phone. Love to get Chuck Ream on the phone. Love to get Matt Abel on the phone. It seems as though we do have a couple of people ready to call. So, also, during the show today sometime, if we can get the stupid Radio Weed Show back up, radioweedshow.com is where, it's the site supportive of this show. And assuming we get that up and running, Bob's got the registrant area so you can play the contest today.
Nice.
Open. So hopefully that'll work out. If not, we're going to play the contest anyway.
We should always do the contest. Yes.
I got to get with the guys at Hydro Hut because Hydro Hut is a sponsor of the show. They're putting up the contest prize. Unfortunately, I think they got mixed up on what is the advertising and what is just a contest prize. We offer to our advertisers a premium positioning with the contest because it gives you, it's outside of the commercial content. It's inside the programming area.
Right, it's extra time.
It's heightened visibility. So to existing advertisers, we offer them this place. If we want to throw a prize in where it makes sense for the listener, you guys, it makes sense for the show, it makes sense for the
everybody wins.
I think I got confused about, well, we could do this thing with the prize and not do the advertising. Not so. The contest is only open for prizes to existing advertisers.
That's right.
So we hope that we can get their money back in on the show because I'm not going to give up show money for a prize. I'm not going to do that. The show's got to start first. We got to have the show before there can be a contest on the show. So that's the way that's going to go. We're going to give away this prize if we got a chance. We'll have a question from last week's show if you get a chance.
What's that prize again?
It's a 600-watt light package.
Nice.
It includes magnetic ballast. It includes a bulb. It includes a wing reflector.
So you're good to go.
Well, it's a good start.
Yeah, nice.
It's worth a couple $100, and it's a great prize. And so we thank Hydro Hut and Inkster for throwing that up. You can find Hydro Hut and Inkster, and you can also see their ad on our website at radioweekshow.com, assuming that it's up. Bob.
When we get through the change of the website, things will run much smoother and better. So
I thank you for being by my side today, Ryan, to pick up the slack. And I thank Rick and Denise for being on the phone to pick up the slack, being that they're not in the studio. Much rather have people in the studio. It just sounds a lot better. So I digress from that. We got moments to go before we hit our first break. I wanted to bring to your attention a couple of things. This is what everybody's been waiting to talk about on this show. Come on in, Denny. There's a couple of things. We had some big news in the Supreme Court this week.
Yes, very big news.
And we also had, thank you. We also had some big news with a bill being introduced that's kind of, making the fur on the back of some people's necks stand up.
Yes, I would say at the least.
And I'm just going to, when I come back from the break here in a few minutes, I don't know, I almost want to, we got on line one. It's Jamie Lowell. Jamie's ready to go. So,
hi, Jamie.
When we come back from the break in a few minutes, we'll not only get to Jamie and your calls, incidentally, I'll invite you in on the phone conversation because there's a lot to talk about. Oh, boy.
It's a huge week.
248-848-1310. You can also reach us at 810-423-2350. And that'll be the contest numbers, too, in case you want to do that a little bit. I made a claim back a while ago that it's not a claim, it was just a fear more than anything. Taking a broad look at what's, the field at play right now.
Is this your theory you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just,
Let me hear it. Give it to me. Show it to us.
You don't want to mess with the master while he's on a roll.
That's right.
Looking at this broadly from the beginning, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the people who were seeding the money for these medical marijuana initiatives were doing really a Hail Mary play for big business? So in other words, hey, I've got a little bit of money, but it's a lot less expensive for me to go out and seed little initiatives around the country. And this was just an idea. I just thought, because it looked like some of these dots could be connected. All the pieces to this recipe were there. My question is, was anybody mixing them up and baking them? So, it could be benign. It could just be laying there by itself. Nothing's connected. Or it could all be stitched together in the background where nobody's seeing what's going on and we're all like puppets on strings. So that's what I was concerned about, that maybe they're going out and seeding these initiatives, paying for the money to collect the signatures, getting the people to do all that hard political groundwork of changing the minds of Americans after 100 years of propaganda about this issue, the illegality, about marijuana, about cannabis in the United States. And then in the background, be working towards something that once you're busy paying attention to your patient rights and your caregiver rights and you're busy fighting your local politicians and the police, and once you're engaged in all of that work, they're in the background working this out so that they're going to make that all non-existent, but they're going to change it into a version that's all about big money. Now that's what my hypothesis was, and that was my fear. That was what I was worried about. And now it seems to me that some of these things may have more connection than not, and I still can't say that anybody's cooking the stew or that they're putting this in the oven to bake. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit coming out of the break.
Very interesting.
Because, I made the claim, and a bunch of people view that ideology as a crackpot philosophy. Oh, that's just, we've been hearing about that for years. It's all nonsense. No. And you know, the people that did the seeding for this is primarily Peter Lewis from the Marijuana Policy Project, and I made, you know, I'm not interested in blasting Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis is a friend of this community, always has been. However, if there's something going on, I'd like to talk about it. I don't want to just assume that this is benign. I want to know for sure that nobody's going out and doing this and using us as puppets for a larger personal pocket thing.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that that's happened in this country.
There's some eloquent stuff that I said. Well, I'll just say this. I'll just, you know, maybe there's not enough time. I can't squeeze this out before the break. I had to do the setup first, and then we'll come back on the break, and I'll talk about what this, you know, sometimes I put this better in writing than I do just blabbing it out. So I'll read what I put in writing. And then you can make up your own minds, and I'll let that lay, because I'm not making any claims on it. I'm not asking for people to back me up on this or get in a certain camp, but I'm not.
Just bringing up the question.
Look, I'm a reporter, I'm a news guy. I'm going to bring facts to the table and let people look at them and view them as they will.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got to examine things. You got to shine a little light on stuff sometimes. Else, you know, you got to be careful. Who knows what you're touching is what you're looking at. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're touching it, you're a lot more dangerous than looking at it. So
what do they say? The devil's in the details.
That's it. The examination. You got to pick it up and
that's right.
Figure out what it is, and is this okay or is this not okay? So that's what we're trying to do there. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about. Like I said, Jamie Lowell on the line. Should be getting Denise online any second. Rick Thompson is in transit, trying to get to a place where he can get to a quiet line. 810-423-2350. More to come on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show this beautiful Saturday. The Grand Prix in Detroit. Kite Festival out happening in Lyon Township. Come on back.
Got something to say?
Call now toll free. 855-MMM Radio. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down. 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
The Committee for a Safer Michigan is collecting signatures to put repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults on the November ballot, and we need your help. Outlawing marijuana has not reduced its availability, made society safe, nor reduced access for minors. Marijuana prohibition has wasted limited tax dollars, put otherwise law-abiding citizens in handcuffs, eroded the public's relationship with law enforcement, and denied relief to seriously ill, injured, and dying citizens that were supposed to be protected by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is working to legalize marijuana for adults, and we need your help to put it on the ballot. Go to repealtoday.org to find out more about this historic effort. That's repealtoday.org to learn more, or call 269-548-8422 to end prohibition and sign the petition. Ending marijuana prohibition will reduce access by minors, allow law enforcement to focus on violent crime, reduce gang activity and organized crime, and create jobs by allowing a new Michigan hemp industry. Paid for with regulated funds by the Committee for a Safer Michigan, 2930 East Jefferson Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48207. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. Attention! Find out how to claim your free offer from Urban Genetics at the end of this message. Start growing right. Know your strain. Get the right seeds and clones at affordable prices from the leader in genetics in Michigan. And it's Urban Genetics. Urban Genetics carries it all. Sativas, indicas, hybrids, autoflower, even rare high CBD strains or hard-to-find strains. Call now and get your free seeds by mentioning this radio ad. Some restrictions apply. Urban Genetics, 248-266-0980. Call Urban Genetics now for this one-time limited free offer, 248-266-0980.
The sun goes down, the stars come out, and all that counts is here and now. My universe will never be the same. I'm glad you came.
It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
Back in the studios at 1310 WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk, about 18 minutes after 12 o'clock. What a beautiful day in Detroit. I'm Steve Greene, to my side, Ryan. We are the Medical Marijuana Radio Show this Saturday. Going to go to the phones right now. Let's take Kenny. He's on line 2. Kenny, where are you from?
Hey, Dave. I'm in Dearborn right now.
By the way, it's Steve, incidentally.
Oh, Steve.
That's okay. You don't have a screen with my name on it.
Dave's not here.
Dave's not here. Yeah, right. I had your mic off, Ryan. So, Kenny, what brings you to the show today?
I just want to say you guys do a good show. I enjoy listening. I've been listening since I think you first went on the air last year.
Really? Well,
and
that's excellent. Is there a reason it took you a year to call? Because we've been waiting for you to call.
Oh, okay.
And why haven't you been on the contest? We have a contest.
Well, yeah, I called in last week for the contest, but I guess I didn't have any.
Oh, you're the one that guessed. You didn't guess the right answer, right?
Well, I had the nephew. The uncle was.
We're talking about Bessie J. The Bessie J question. The question was about the band.
Didn't have the Jesse part down, so.
Well, maybe you'll get another slap at it today.
I also, I just wanted to make a comment that, I don't have a card. I'm not a card holder. I thought about it, but ever since the, I call them fascist regime took over in the state, I'm just a little leery about it. I know you guys propose everyone do the opposite of me, but that's just me.
Can I make a suggestion, Kenny?
Yes.
If you're choosing not to be a registrant in the program, and I understand that fear, because the police and prosecutors have certainly used that registry as more of a sword than a shield. So I understand this, being a little bit wary about it. I chose to be a registrant in the program because it offers me broader protections. It gives me a chance for a Section 4, protect me against arrest and prosecution. However, in case you're still interested in a Section 8 defense, I would suggest that you at least go get a doctor's certification. Go get that certification because it protects you.
Even if he doesn't mail it in?
Yeah, you don't have to mail anything in. You don't have to register with the program. But if you have a certification, the Supreme Court, we'll talk about this in the show, the Supreme Court just ruled that as long as your certification comes before you have an encounter with the police and after the act was created, that you still get a Section 8 defense in court.
Well, I understood the article today in the Free Press. I don't know if the lawyer would know more about this, but it seemed like it said that everyone was protected, whether you had a card or not.
Well, let's bring a lawyer on and find out, because we've got Denise. She's normally a co-host in the show, and she's still a co-host on the show, but she's just out of the area.
She's a remote
Let's see if we can. She's on the phone today, so we can pull up Denise at the same time. Denny, can we get both of them on the line at the same time? Is there a way to make that happen? There we go. Denise, are you there?
Good morning.
It seems like you've got a flat. Oh, no.
I have.
Well, we don't
I'm at Bell Tire in Brighton, and I have a flat tire for the second time in 5 days. I want to kill somebody.
I know that feeling. Look, we've been running on flats all week with this show. Can we
talk? It happened at like 11:15 on my way in.
Nice. So. Can we tell Kenny, did you hear his question?
I did. I have you up on the live stream, too.
Oh, great. Awesome.
I'm waving at you. You just can't see me doing it.
Well, we'll wait back. There you go. So, can you answer his question? Because he was a little bit confused about this.
No, I think you answered his question very appropriately. Even if you are not going to participate in the registry program, which I do strongly still encourage people to do, I highly recommend that he gets a certification from his physician for using medical marijuana, because if he does not, he's not going to be able to avail himself of the Section 8 defense.
What was your question for Denise, Kenny?
It was basically just that, if that was what I read in the paper, I picked it up the right way, that even people without cards could bring this up in court, I mean, I have a benign brain tumor. I don't know if I qualify or not, but.
Well, I mean, that would be a doctor for a doctor to determine, and you'd have to go see him, and I'm sure he would tell you whether or not you're a candidate. If you've got a condition that cannabis is going to help alleviate, and whether it's going to be palliative for you or not. Have a good effect for you, a positive.
I haven't seen the Free Press article yet. I've been obviously digesting this.
That's okay. We've got it here. Kenny, is there anything else we can help you with?
No, just you guys do a good show, and I used to work down the bow from you many moons ago.
Hey, we got a
college grad, 1981 specs grad. So.
Back in the day, that's
a long time ago.
Ken, I just graduated myself last Friday, so...
Oh, congratulations.
We've got a lot of stuff to get to on the show, so we'll talk to you soon, Kenny. Thank you so much for calling. You're into it. Can you please?
Bye-bye.
All right.
Take care,
let's bring on the show also Jamie Lowell. Rick's on standby. I don't know if we can get three at the same time. Kenny, can we do three we lost two. Oh, no. That's bad. We'll get Denise back. That's okay. We'll just get Denise back. We'll take Jamie right now because he's still online. Somehow, bobbling fingers happened. We lost Denise and we lost Rick at the same time. So we'll get it back on in a second. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Jamie's from the Third Coast Compassion Center in Ypsilanti, 19 North Hamilton, right, Jamie?
That's right.
And Jamie also is a part of the Planet Green Trees radio show. You can hear that on Blog Talk Radio, correct?
That's correct. Thursday nights, 8 to 10, planetgreentrees.com.
So we're getting Denise and Rick back online here. Jamie, there he is.
Nice, she's back.
Sorry about the hang-up, Denise.
All right.
So, Jamie, can you why don't you, for the people who are, for the benefit of those who did not hear the news this week, break it to them on the Supreme Court stuff. Just give us a quick synopsis. And I know Denise has, got a mouthful of flesh on this one. She's ready to tear into this, aren't you, Denise?
Well, I think it'd be more appropriate if Denise gave the synopsis.
All right, let's do that.
As a lawyer.
So go ahead and give us the meat and the potatoes of this, Denise. What did the Supreme Court say this week on these two cases, and what does it mean to us?
Well, what the Supreme Court said very clearly is that if you are a medical marijuana patient, but not part of the registry program, you still have the right to bring a Section 8 defense against any marijuana-related prosecution, which was an extraordinarily wonderful and appropriate and very broad, by the way, reading. I am very encouraged by it. Until yesterday, we had all been told by the appellate court that you had to, and it was very widely understood and prosecuted, that you had to be able to bring a Section 4 and a Section 8. You had to be able to fit into the confines of Section 4 of the Medical Marijuana Act in order to bring a Section 8 defense, which was, frankly, practically impossible to do. This particular opinion is appropriate and gives two very clear messages. One, the Supreme Court is going to pay attention to the will of the people of the state as far as protecting the rights of people who are patients under the Medical Marijuana Act, and two, they're warning the appellate courts to stop being so activist.
It brings things back to the original intent of the drafters and the voters.
I don't want people to get the impression that this protects the sale of marijuana. It does not reopen dispensaries, and it didn't in any way treat the patient-to-patient transfer issue. However, what it did do is it protected patients, which was enormous. This is really, really an enormous and very appropriate and very positive decision as far as patients are concerned. As long as you are going to, use medical marijuana appropriately as a valid registered patient, and you are going to not be violating any of the constraints of Section 7, meaning you're not operating a vehicle, you're not using marijuana on public transportation or near a school or that kind of thing, then you're going to be able to have your charges dismissed. And I hope that law enforcement is listening to this and is going to start restraining themselves from attacking patients.
Somehow I get the image that there's maybe some cops out there with their hands over their ears going, la, 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 I didn't hear anything.
You know, it does indirectly affect the issue with the sales and stuff like that, because it makes it easier or opens the way for somebody to use their defenses in any marijuana prosecution, and so if somebody's being prosecuted for something related to sales, it still does affect that. The other thing that I have a question about is that we're saying that it's a really good and really broad ruling, and I am happy with it, and in no way am I trying to say that it's a bad ruling at all. But nowhere in the actual act does it say that somebody has to have their recommendation letter from the doctors first. That is something that the Supreme Court put.
That was determined law.
But I think it was still appropriate. I mean, when you read the reasoning behind what they said, you understand that it was appropriate. There was not an affirmative defense created prior to the act. What they're saying is that the Medical Marijuana Act created that affirmative defense, and therefore it doesn't make any legal sense for you to be able to see a physician after you are arrested and have the affirmative defense. I understand the legal reasoning behind it. And there's no reason
because in
for you
Section
not.
8 it says you have to prove that you had one of those conditions. It doesn't say you have by way of having a recommendation letter first.
Yeah. I mean,
it also says that you can ask for evidentiary hearing, but in every other type of affirmative defense situations, it doesn't require that. So there's a couple things that are still slightly tainted, here, but this is a great ruling, no question about it. And you look at all the tragedies that have taken place because people couldn't use their defenses. I mean, this is awesome overall. Well, kind of nitpicking a little bit, but
I'm telling you right now, I think solidly half of the use and possession convictions in the state right now should be revisited under this.
I just wanted to check one thing. Do we have Rick on the phone, too? Is it the same? We got everybody at the same time? Rick, can you talk to us?
I sure can. How's everybody doing?
Hey, terrific. So we got I just wanted to make sure all three were able to engage at the same time.
Sure. Hey, Steve, I think there's one thing that we're missing here, and that's what the Supreme Court ruling, you're looking at the language specifically selected by the justices, admonishes the Court of Appeals not only for what they did, but for the attitude that they took in passing and in making these decisions. And that's something that's carried forward to the legislature as well. They're saying that the whole concept of needing to have an overbearing burden is inappropriate for medical marijuana patients. Stick to the original language, stick to the ballot language, which is actually cited in there, and move forward. I think it sends a message beyond the Court of Appeals. I agree with Denise. It goes right to the legislature as well.
Yeah, my opinion, I mean, for the most part, except for what Jamie alluded to with this business about whether or not you needed a certification and what that meant, or whether you just needed a condition, aside from that fact, I mean, looking at this myself, I think the Supreme Court ruled based on the plain language, based on what I would have read it as.
Yes, they did. Finally, what the appellate courts were continuing to do was take what it was that they thought the law should be and try to connect the dots and pigeonhole the language of the statutes into that meaning, which is very activist and not what our courts are supposed to do. It was the same thing that Bill Schuette's been doing this entire time with his opinions. He's been trying to figure out a way to, use the language of the statute against what the intent of the law was. The Supreme Court was very plain, and they were very, very plain when they derided the prosecution as far as how they thought the law should be read. I was very pleased with this opinion, and I think that patients should be very encouraged, and so should the entire community. This turns the law in the right direction.
I left some of the news off the plate today, and I just thought about it, and I missed already. But I'm going to go ahead and re-include this, re-inject this bit of news back into the subject of today's show. Coalition for a Safer Detroit. Hello.
Yes.
This is a huge win for them as far as Tim Beck's concerned.
Now listen, there was an article in the Free Press that Bill Laettner did today. It's in the Metro section on the page, front right there on the front of the Metro section. Ryan, we happened to bring the paper in, and there was a quote in there from me on the show. Can you read the headline and basically what the article's about real quick? Just give us a synopsis.
State court clears way to let Detroiters vote on pot.
So what this basically was the Coalition for a Safer Detroit tried to get this, they got enough signatures collected, they turned it in, and they wouldn't put it on the ballot. They said the process is you got to turn it into the city council, and then the city council, if they don't act on it, then they're supposed to put it on the ballot. But they said, no, we're not going to put it on the ballot because, what was the issue, Jamie, Denise?
Well, they said that it violated state law, and so they weren't going to allow it to be on a city ordinance proposal, which is...
And so they challenged it.
Not appropriate. They were the job of the Elections Commission is not to decide substantive questions. It's simply to approve the language itself and to make sure that there are enough signatures and this kind of thing. It's a very administrative function.
Right.
That's all it is. Yeah.
But they tried to interject their own opinion and their own belief on this by dragging their feet and by saying no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they took the question to the appeals court, and the appeals court said what?
Yeah, exactly what I just said. It's an administrative function, and if the ordinance language meets the administrative requirements, that they are required to put it on the ballot.
And so that's what they're going to do now.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions about this. Does the city of Detroit have any more recourse?
Can we take Rick down a little bit? I'm sorry, we're having a hard time hearing everybody over Rick's wind. There's wind in Rick's phone. Here. It's kind of noisy there. There we go. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jamie. Go ahead. Repeat, please.
Well, this is Jamie. I had a question. If the city, maybe Denise may know this, does the city of Detroit have further options in terms of maybe taking this to federal court if they really want to continue to pursue it?
I couldn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Can the city of Detroit take this further, something like going to federal court with it or something, if they really want to continue to fight with this?
No, I don't think so. This is a state court issue because it has to do with the ordinance itself and the administrative function of a city related to whether or not it can ban an ordinance, and that's a state issue. However, as we learned from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals federally a couple of weeks ago, the cities themselves are able to, which the Ninth Circuit said, and we have to keep in mind this is a very liberal court, upheld the city's right to ban medical marijuana dispensaries. That's a separate issue, and that itself could go if the city of Detroit decided to ban them. I think it would be a mistake. But this is simply a separate issue. So this particular issue on ordinances, I don't think could go federal.
Now, the next thing that we need to find out is if it's going to be on August or November's ballot, because it might be too late to finalize ballot language for August at this point, which would put it to November, which I think is going to be preferred by Tim Beck and others.
Yeah, that would be actually a favorable thing for the city of Detroit, at least as it relates to the Coalition for Safer Detroit.
Certainly.
So, real quick, that means that this is going to be on the ballot in the fall, one way or the other. Oops. We lost Rick there. So this is going to be on the ballot in the fall, one way or the other. And as it relates to the question about decriminalizing marijuana in Detroit for adults 21 and over.
Yeah.
And then also these Supreme Court rulings have the effect of what on us? It gives you the ability to raise a defense in court despite all this previous fighting, yes?
Well, and you know what? The Supreme Court actually went one step further, and they said that if you meet the requirements of Section 8 and you have not violated Section 7, that the court is required to dismiss your charges.
There you go. Hey, Denise, we're hitting the break music. Can you hang on to the thought?
Okay.
We'll be right back with more on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. Don't go away.
Bend over or no? Yeah, you got it. Okay. Steve and Rick will be right back after this. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320. Hey, Steve Greene here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right. $200 gets you a 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium bulb, an E-wing reflector, and a digital ballast. That's right, a digital one. Call them today at 313-228-5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com. Hey, Steve Greene here for the Medical Marijuana Certifications at AMMP. They're the American Medical Marijuana Professionals. You'll find them just north of Utica Road on Gratiot in Roseville. Their address is 28349. Now, call-ins are welcome, but you're better off calling for an appointment. They have a toll-free number, 877-RX-420-99. That's 877-RX-420-99 for American Medical Marijuana Professionals. That's AMMP on Gratiot in Roseville.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
Attention! Find out how to claim your free offer from Urban Genetics at the end of this message. Start growing right. Know your strain. Get the right seeds and clones at affordable prices from the leader in genetics in Michigan. And it's Urban Genetics. Urban Genetics carries it all. Sativas, indicas, hybrids, autoflower, even rare high CBD strains or hard-to-find strains. Call now and get your free seeds by mentioning this radio ad. Some restrictions apply. Urban Genetics, 248-266-0980. Call Urban Genetics now for this one-time limited free offer. 248-266-0980.
Anything to keep law enforcement away from patients and caregivers is good, said Steve Greene, host of the weekly Medical Marijuana Radio Show at noon on Saturdays. Again, didn't turn my own mic on. It's a plug from Bill Leitner. Thanks for Bill for including this in his article today on the Metro section. State Court clears way to let Detroiters vote on pot. That was the big headline. Unavailable for comment Friday, according to a representative, was City Council President Charles Pugh, who was outspoken in his opposition to the proposal in 2010 when it came before the City Council. Pugh is the chairman of the Detroit Election Commission, was a part of the Commission's 3-0 vote in August of 2010 to block the referendum from city ballots. Chuck, it didn't work, did it? Yeah. Don't drag your feet, Chuck. So, Denise, Jamie, back on the line. Are you guys happy about this stuff overall, yes?
Absolutely. Sure.
Absolutely.
Now, let's drag into the question this business about House Bill 5681. And draw the distinction between what that is and 5580. To those of you who don't know what this alphabet soup of numbers means, it's about dispensary bills. This issue was never addressed, the dispensing issue inside the act. It only alluded to certain things, and it left this was part of the big gray area that everybody talks about. Can we make a distinction between these two bills and then kind of examine them a little more in detail?
Well, I'm going to let you guys discuss the differences. My only comment on the dispensary bills right now is that I think it's very, very important that these issues are addressed, period. The fact that anybody in our legislature is finally willing to take up the issue of allowing third-party, safe, secure, quality-controlled access to medicine for people who can't otherwise get it is vitally important. It addresses public safety, it addresses quality, it addresses an issue of self-regulation, which this industry has already been engaged in, and I think it's extremely important that we finally get the legislature involved in this. However they come out, it will be a good thing, period.
I agree with you on that. Jamie, any input?
I agree with that spirit, but 5580 is good, and 5681 is a turd.
So now... Could we get them to elaborate on that? Yeah, well, I mean, not the turd part, but what it is, what it means.
To be more serious about it, 5580 is something that's very viable, that could go into action upon being passed and start helping people out right away and legitimizing places like mine
Yeah, so this is
Coast, and in fact, it would immediately be legitimized statewide because our city has already recognized us, and we already fit in all the parameters that's mentioned in 5580. So that'd be particularly awesome. Now, the other one would require federal law to change, and they're doing it preemptively in hopes that happens. And this is the Canadians, and this is a lot of PR money, a lot of lobbying money, very professionally written bill.
This is
just
pharmacy.
has an adverse effect ultimately on our existing caregiver system. It's similar to, and whether or not you want to argue from a capitalist perspective whether it's ultimately great or not, it's similar to having a mom-and-pop hardware store, mom-and-pop grocery mart, and things like that, putting a big Walmart right across the street and just saying, no, you guys are okay. You're allowed to sit here and still do this. So this isn't going to affect anything. Don't worry about it.
Right, yeah, we're not going to put you out of business or anything.
And it's legitimizing and legalizing Walmart and restricting the mom and pop.
Right, because in this version of that analogy, the mom and pop guys still go to prison for selling their wares, but the Walmart guys can rotate right, wherever they want in that bill.
This is what we've said from the beginning that we were worried about. We need to be able to regulate, self-regulate, and get this legalized before we have to start driving through, Walmart and picking up our crappy marijuana prescriptions that are full of stuff that we don't want.
Right. I mean,
I be recommending a change, amendment. Not that anybody's going to listen to me and immediately, go to it. But one of the things I could see that possibly could salvage 5681 would be to, yes, federal law changes and it goes to Schedule 2. They may grow their thousands and thousands of plants in that mine up north to sell to pharmaceutical companies to make their Marinol and Sativex and stuff like that. But they shouldn't be able to participate in the Michigan medical marijuana program as they are trying to. If they can eliminate that part of it, I could probably be okay with this bill.
Well, this what makes me angry about 5681 is that it references the Medical Marijuana Act by talking about the cards as caregivers and patients. You have to have a card. It references that registry program. But then it also says that we're going to leave all that as Schedule 1, and if you want to pay for the enhanced cards through 5681 and give up all your rights under the Medical Marijuana Act and obey now to be beholden to the new rules under 5681, as long as you pay those fees and you pass the background check and you agree to all this other stuff that they want you to do.
That wouldn't even be an additional choice. You'd have to select one over the other, is what it says.
Yeah, you would have to get the enhanced cards through them.
Yeah.
To me, that just it's Colorado all over again. If you want the Colorado model here in Michigan, where only the guys with a huge amount of money can buy the license.
Well, Colorado would even be better, Steve. Colorado's somewhere in between, in my opinion. It would even be better than this.
Right, because this is it's for profit, and it's gonna put all that money into a couple of single hands and let them have it. They're just gonna give it to them if that kind of bill passes.
And then it's a Canadian company, keep in mind, so all the revenue generated doesn't necessarily stick around here, even in this country, let alone the state.
Well, it's a Canadian company that's really a subsidiary of a Dutch company.
I've heard the thing that it's a Dutch company, but unless the Dutch are somehow behind this Canadian effort, this is specifically about a Canadian company.
Right. Well, the company itself is a subsidiary of another company. So, I mean, we can parse that out all day, I suppose.
Yeah, who cares? It's not the United States.
That's correct.
And it's totally different than what people want for another.
Right. It's a model that none of us want to pursue.
Well, foreign countries should not be supporting or making laws for us. I mean, there
certainly should be lobbying our country.
I mean, this whole thing's a mess from the word go.
Well, just to put it out there on the table, I mean, I know a bunch of these guys in a bunch of places that were getting all these BC buds back when our program started up here. They were importing this stuff. It was coming in on garbage trucks across the bridge. They were finding it in all kinds of places. Anyway, we shouldn't be transporting drugs across international or state borders, at least until we lock down what this means and what it doesn't mean.
This is the same company that supplies the cannabis for the Canadian medical marijuana system.
Right.
It's separate to what they're letting go on in Vancouver and stuff. The real dispensaries are state, country run, and they grow the medicine for it. And they have not come through there. They don't offer much diversity. They've promised lots of jobs there to get started that they haven't really come through for. It might be a tough business, and they're just trying to get themselves in, but they don't have a great track record even come in here and then really rip the lid off of how we want things to be at the same time. So they have a bunch of money. They're getting the lawmakers' attention, and that's why they're having some progress.
Well, and they're pandering to a very big group too. I don't want to lose a fact of the attention. They had the Bloomfield thing happen. A couple things happened in Bloomfield. With the guy that was supposedly on K2 that attacked the two people with the baseball bats, killed a couple of people, put some people in the hospital, and then you've got the a situation where the high school graduate who was struggling with the K2 issue in some kind of celebratory effort out in his backyard by the water ended up supposedly overdosing on K2. I don't know how you could do that, but supposedly that's what happened. In any event, there are some bad drugs out there that supposedly mimic marijuana. They're synthetic THC things, and they keep trying to outlaw it by outlawing specific components, and then they put some new ones in there that are harsher and worse. And this has been a thing that's been going on, and now you got the bath salt thing. So everybody all across the country and the state, for that matter, really in this state, it's huge. It's bigger than any other issue right now. Oh, yeah. Get this stuff out of there. They're going in, putting signs up and saying, in places saying, hey, we're not supporting selling K2 here. Please come and support this business. Don't support those guys that are selling that crap to our kids. My point is this. That fever, that fire is playing into 5681 because it's part of the modification of that public health code. This is
a professionally written bill, and these guys know to bring in hot topic subjects and include them in for support and attention and things like that, and that's largely why that's in there.
It's exactly why it's in there, because here's the other thing. This 5681 only requires a simple majority. It does not require the supermajority because it doesn't address the Medical Marijuana Act.
Well, it would. This is, again, contingent upon changing a federal law.
Correct.
That's what it relies on in order to just be a simple administrative change in the health code. If we're trying to go through now and have an effect, it would require a supermajority because it would be changing the existing act, but that's not their tactic here.
Well, they're only passing a modification of the public health code, which, in my view, and I guess Denise can correct me if I'm not right, only requires a majority vote.
Yeah. It does.
So, that's what I'm pointing to. Don't fall for the K2 bait. Don't fall. There's another bill in the background that they're working on that specifically addresses this issue that's not a part of this dispensary bill. So don't fall for that. Don't support 5681, yes?
5681 is a Trojan horse.
That's right.
It will kill the caregiver system, if not directly at first, subsequently it will.
Hang on, guys. We'll be right back. There's more to come on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
More of your calls next, 818-423-2350. We'll be right back after this on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, the Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Hey, Steve Greene here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right. $200 gets you a 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium bulb, an E-Wing reflector, and a digital ballast. That's right, a digital one. Call them today at 313-228-5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com. If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320. Medical marijuana certification. And now you can find out everything you need to know online at getpotid.com. or write down this toll-free number, 855-DOC-CERT. A friendly specialist will direct you to our Farmington Hills office. Medical marijuana certification. GetPotID.com. It's the key to getting your card. Information, resources, and in the end, if you're qualified, a medical card. Call toll-free right now, 855-DOC-CERT. That's 855-DOC-CERT. It's GetPotID.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is collecting signatures to put repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults on the November ballot, and we need your help. Outlawing marijuana has not reduced its availability, made society safe, nor reduced access for minors. Marijuana prohibition has wasted limited tax dollars, put otherwise law-abiding citizens in handcuffs, eroded the public's relationship with law enforcement, and denied relief to seriously ill, injured, and dying citizens that were supposed to be protected by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is working to legalize marijuana for adults, and we need your help to put it on the ballot. Go to repealtoday.org to find out more about this historic effort. That's repealtoday.org to learn more, or call 269-548-8422 to end prohibition and sign the petition. Ending marijuana prohibition will reduce access by minors, allow law enforcement to focus on violent crime, reduce gang activity and organized crime, and create jobs by allowing a new Michigan hemp industry. Paid for with regulated funds by the Committee for a Safer Michigan, 2930 East Jefferson Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48207.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
So we're back, about 7 minutes left of the show. It's WDTW 1310, Detroit's Progressive Talk. Steve Greene with the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, shoving through until next week when goodness knows what's going to happen. We've got an interesting guest. Jamie, you're still on the line. You had Carlton on your show this past week, did you? Hello, Jamie, are you there?
You talking to me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can't really hear you.
Rep, that's okay. We got the crazy music in the background. Rep Carlton was on Planet Green Tree's radio show this week.
Yes, he was.
And what did you get out of him? Anything fun? Because share with us what happened on your show.
I'll tell you what, I would like to hear a little bit more. But he did say that after re-examining 5681, that he does not agree with it. He was trying to get his name taken off of it, and apparently he cannot procedurally until it hits the floor. And he did kind of denounce it a little bit. At the same time, I would like to see him go a little further. A lot of politicians say a lot of things. And so while he said the right things, I would kind of like to feel a little bit more secure in that he really is separating himself from that thing and focusing in on 5580. And I'll say two things. This discussion will continue again on Planet Green Trees on Thursday night, 8 to 10. And I want people to call in, if they can, Representative Walsh, or call to action and say, please do not go further with 5681, and please bring up 5580 to be heard in committee as soon as possible.
Well, and I would even suggest something further. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to tinker with 5580 anymore or not, because it looks like they're pretty set on what that needs to be. But somebody should at least bring up the idea that all the goodies they threw into 5681, for example, taking away the local option, for example, rescheduling to Schedule 2, all this other stuff that gave protection to big business and favoritism to big business in 5681, they should look at including some of that stuff into 5580. If it's good for them, why isn't it good for us?
Well, Steve, you can't put in, you can't take away the local option, because that's what 5580 is completely based on and what gives it its support.
No, I understand this. I'm just saying somebody should bring this up to these legislators and say, why are you doing this for those guys, but then trying to be more restrictive with this group?
Well, politics and money are kind of at the heart of the answer to that question.
So big business and big money wins again, is kind of what you're saying there, unless the people stand up and use their voice.
We still have a voice. We can still do something about it, but these guys are going to be heard. They are going to get bills written and introduced. It will come up in committee. That's how it works.
I've got a response to this in writing that I'm going to read as we close this show. Jamie, thanks for being on the show. Just incidentally, Rep Carlton on next week's show here on RadioReachShow.com at 1310 WDTW, the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
He's listening. That's awesome. Good job.
We'll have a chance to maybe get some more stuff out of him, because I'm sure that you get the impression he was blindsided a little bit by the addition of this, that maybe he didn't understand the full ramifications of this new bill that he co-sponsored, that he was trying to get his name taken off of?
I absolutely believe that's true, but I still would like to see him go further than just admit that and say that.
Right. You know? I think that there'll be some stuff happen this week before he hits your show. Well, maybe he's not going to be on your show next week, but at least before he hits our show next week, and maybe you could get some other representatives to talk about this too on Planet Green Trees, to talk about, go into that 5681 a little bit in more depth.
Yeah, I'm speaking with Representative Walls personally in between all these shows, so I'll be listening and I'll hopefully be participating a little bit too. And there's some good stuff that needs to get out.
Thanks so much.
He needs to do it himself. So
thanks so much, Jamie, from Planet Green Trees Radio and from Third Coast Compassion Center, 19 North Hamilton in Ypsilanti. Go out and see them today if you get a chance. It's a beautiful day.
Thanks a lot. Have a great show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. My pleasure, Jamie. Just to be clear, earlier I was talking about Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, the guy behind Progressive Insurance and one of the principal seed funders in the Marijuana Policy Project, also known as MPP. I am not interested in bashing Mr. Lewis. I'm not interested in fostering a false notion or theory of conspiracy. I'm not. Putting some light on these facts or dispelling them as incorrect is my goal. These things, at this point, cannot be ruled out as having some connection, and until they are drugged into the full light of day, I have a healthy suspicion. I'm hoping that this is a plausible correlation that is not just a shady drive from somewhere we can't see or from whom we can't see. I'm talking about what I was talking about earlier, about this connection, about people trying to take, maybe seeding the medical marijuana community with these initiatives, like us do all the dirty work and the hard work and then taking it back away with big business.
That's right.
So this is what I was afraid of. It's part of the blood and the sausage of politicking. It's how things get done. Sometimes and more often than not, it's how deals just are made in this country. Backroom deals with special interests stacking the deck for common people to lose. It's what they did with the lottery here in Michigan back in '72. It's for education, they said, while quietly taking $1 back out of the general fund for everyone that lottery contributed. It's what they continue to do with tax money that raised for other things right now. The governor wants to raise the gas tax. Guess what? They diverted that money for some other purpose, for special interest elsewhere last year and in previous years. It's ridiculous. Guess what? In fact, they're doing that right now with our own fund from the MMMA for collection of card fees. It's a display of gun-shy you're seeing from me. It's what I've come to expect from our electorate. It's how they play now. So for me, for now, my bets are on big money, planning a big win at the expense of our patient caregiver system. I agree with a comment earlier in this thread, the 5681. If it gets passed, it'll be used as a reason to completely repeal the MMMA as inadequate given their new model of raw plant Schedule 1, farmer-grade cannabis by their new medical definition, Schedule 2. I don't know anybody to drink the Kool-Aid yet, but there's nothing wrong with healthy suspicion and making sure you're touching what your eyes are seeing before you depend on it for your safety. That's what I gotta say.
That's right.
I still kick my tires before I get in. Tune in next week for another edition of the Medical Marijuana Radio Show right here on 1310 WDTW, Detroit's Progressive Talk. Ryan, thanks for coming along this week.
Absolutely.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show and RadioWeedShow.com are trademarks. Copyright 2011.
The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the preceding program are those of the show participants only. Nothing stated in this program reflects the ideas, opinions, or beliefs of this radio station.